Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lonimi Maseko, and on this channel, I aim to help you enhance your quality of life. So the topic of today's video, or what I want to talk about today, is closed chapters and why I think it is important to close them. So there are times in life where you feel like you're on top of the world. You may have a job that you feel is your dream job. You may have found somebody who you feel is your person and is meant to be your forever person, the love of your life. You may have found friends that are in your life who you are so convinced are going to stay in your life forever. Or you may go through seasons where you're financially stable and you feel that freedom financially to be able to get things that you always wanted, right? But all of a sudden, life pulls the rug from under your feet. And a life that you thought was once upon a time so peaceful, where you felt like you were on top of the world, suddenly turns into this series of events that you could not foresee. That means that maybe the job you thought you were going to stay for a very long time, all of a sudden they lay you off. Or maybe the boss that you got along with ends up being replaced by another boss who is toxic. And because there's a lot of friction between you and that boss, then it impacts your performance, and thus the company decides they want to let you go. Or it could be a situation where you were so committed to the friends in your life and you were thinking, my goodness, these people are going to be in my life forever. And then all of a sudden, your friend or your friends lose communication with you. They move on to next chapters of their lives and they're no longer in your life and you guys are no longer talking. Or it could be moments of financial instability. Once upon a time, you were financially stable, and out of nowhere, a situation, whether it's like a layoff or something that affects you financially, causes you to no longer feel that financial security that you once upon a time thought you were going to have forever. These series of events is what I like to call closed chapters. So think of life as, or think of your life as a story that God is writing. And in this book, that is your life, there are multiple chapters that indicate events in your life that are going to happen, leading to a sequence of other events that are going to happen. I consider that God is the greatest author ever. So if you're going through a season, a difficult season where all of a sudden you feel frustration, you feel like you have been abandoned, you feel like you were once upon a time, you found your person, your forever person, and all of a sudden this person you had a crush on, or this person that you were in a relationship with, all of a sudden rejects you and they feel like they no longer want to be with you, so they cut all forms of communication with you. Or maybe you may be somebody that has experienced betrayal out of nowhere, when you thought that a person who you were so in love with, you could never imagine that they would betray you like that. These are moments that I really believe are like closed chapters, specifically events in your life that come to punctuate the status quo. And rather than looking at these events as events of punishment, events where you feel like God is purposely bringing misfortunes into your life, events where you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing my friends, I'm seeing other people, they have it so easy, their lives feel like it's amazing. And here I am undergrowing or accruing misfortunes, suffering, pain, and you may feel so frustrated, like you want to give up. I'm here to tell you, don't give up. And I want you to have a shifting of perspective. So rather than seeing these moments where maybe you may have been laid off, or you may have been fired at your job, or the person who you thought was your soulmate all of a sudden rejects you, they no longer want to be with you, or you may undergo a period of financial instability, or you may undergo seasons of separation from friends who you thought were going to be in your life forever, right? When you're going through these type of moments in your life that are life punctuations, to be specific, see these events as opportunities to build your character, opportunities to build your resilience, to build your strength, and for you to gain wisdom, for you to gain understanding and patience, to grow your patience and your sense of individuality, right? Because when you go through these kind of experiences, it is an opportunity for you to trust in the unknown, trust that you are not the author of your life, God is, or if you don't believe in God, the universe, and that this is just a fragment of your life that is taking place, but it doesn't mean it's meant to occur forever, right? So let's let me give you an analogy. For me, let's say that there's a bookshelf, which I would like to call the bookshelf of human lives. And on each bookshelf, there are books. And each book represents the life or the life story of one human being on this planet. So this great bookshelf is able to keep record of all the stories of all human beings on this planet. And let's say on one of the bookshelves, there's the book of your life story, and the title of this book is your name, right? So when you open this book and you're going through, let's say, a moment of pain, suffering, and you feel like you are deserted by God, rather than looking at this situation as a season in your life where you feel like He's not hearing you, you feel like you don't matter, and you feel like you're not in a season of prosperity, I would invite you to look at this season of your life as chapter 3 or chapter 4 of a beautiful life story that is your own, that comprises more than 100 chapters. So can you believe it? A situation that is punctuating your life right now, that is very difficult to go through. Whether it could be, like I said, a heartbreak, it could be you being let go at your job, or a season where you feel betrayal, you feel suffering, pain. This season where you feel like, oh my gosh, am I destined to live this forever? No, it's just a chapter in your life that is closed, or that will come to close. But it doesn't mean that it's the only chapter of this book that is your life. This book that is your life story. So when we look at it that way, I want you to picture the first feelings that come to mind when you're reading a book. If you're somebody and you read books, right? When you're reading a book and you're eager to know what's going to happen to the characters of this book, right? Are you the type of person, because you're eager to find out what's going to happen to these characters, are you going to, as a result, say, okay, I have the option of turning the page to see what's the next chapter, but I'm still going to reread old chapters of these characters that I already read? I hope your answer is no, because I think that, or I assume that your reaction would be, oh my gosh, I just finished this chapter for these characters and I'm dying to know what's going to happen in the next chapter. So your first instinct isn't to go back to the previous pages to reread over and over and over again what you already know and what already has been set in stone for the characters, right? There's this eagerness to find out what's going to happen in the next chapter. Similarly, I think that's how we are, or I think that's how we should aim to look at our life stories, right? And the chapters that are closed in our lives. So I feel like in our life, okay, there are situations that we go through that punctuate our life like never before. So let's say you, like I said earlier, like you experience heartbreak. If in your mind you don't trust that God is the greatest authors of all time and he already has a plan for you, right? You would take it upon yourself to say, oh my gosh, like this person is rejecting me, but I'm so convinced that I'm meant to be with them forever, that you force outcomes and you keep opening a chapter that was initially always meant to be closed. And what happens? You're stuck. It's like a limbo. You're stuck on an old chapter that you've already read. You've already undergone that chapter. The person who you thought you liked doesn't like you back. And rather than accepting and moving forward with your life, trusting that the next chapter of your life is going to be filled with a chapter where you are going to find, or you're going to experience, the one of the greatest love stories ever to be told, you don't trust in God's ability to write that story for you. So as a result, you keep replaying an old chapter of your life over and over and over and over again. So when we ultimately go through seasons where a chapter of our lives is meant to close, but we find ourselves reattempting to open closed chapters that God planned to be closed, what we're essentially telling God is that I don't trust your story, your ability to write my story of life. And I want to take matters into my own hands and I want to force outcomes. I want to force connections. I want to force relationships that you already never intended for me to experience. I think that that's what happens when we don't really trust in God's ability to write the story of our lives. It's like we're essentially saying, I prefer another author to write my story. And what a thing to say to the person, to the one who knew us before we were born. He knew what we like, our likes, our dislikes, and he already crafted an entire life story unique to each and every one of us. So I think that that's something we need to keep in mind, right? When you go through situation, and it doesn't even just apply to relationships, it can apply to like a job. You're being fired, you're being laid off, but let's say it was a corporate job, one of the highest corporate jobs you've ever gotten. It could have been a government job or a job where honestly, like when you're known to work there, you have a sense of, you feel a sense of purpose, and people, they regard you highly because of where you work, right? And it makes you feel like you have like social status, right? When let's say all of a sudden you get fired or you get laid off from that place, and because you were so attached to this social status that you obtained when you were working there. So you're desperate, right? What do? You send cold emails to multiple uh, managers in the corporation, or multiple directors, or multiple, I don't know, CEOs, right? From different corporations, because you just feel that you need to be in a company where you feel like you have social status, right? So when you were let go of that job, who knows? It could have been God's way of saying that, hey, I know you were working there and I know how hard you worked, but trust me, I have something better for you. And it could be that God wants you to take time off from this corporate job so that you can focus on businesses. Maybe this corporate job caused you to not even focus on personal projects. Let's say you wanted to start a business, but because of this job, 9 to 5 job, you said, no, like I'm going to put away my goals and dreams to work to the bone for a company that finds me replaceable. This is what I really want us to think about in this video. This idea of closed chapters, it's something that I try to really take seriously because I feel like when events like that happen in our lives, yes, it's frustrating. And when we undergo these events that are painful in our lives, it could, whether it's like you being fired, experiencing a layoff, being broken up with, a friend betraying you, rather than looking at this situation as I need to force an outcome, or I need to convince this other person to see my worth, or I need to convince this other person to be with me or to keep me in their company, rather than seeing it from that perspective, let's try to aim to trust that this is a cycle of our lives that's coming to a close. People did what they did. And rather than trying to force outcomes, we just accept things as they are. We accept people as they are. And we choose to let go. We choose to turn the page that is the book of our life. And let me make myself very clear. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you to not feel your emotions of pain, heartbreak, suffering when these life events happen. By all means, feel those emotions, feel them to the core of your being. Feel the pain, the pain of feeling like you're betrayed, the pain of feeling like you're unwanted, like you're not valued from a company where you felt like you put in so many hours to work at, but still you were not valued. The people that were there, they didn't value you, and you were easily replaceable to them, right? Or this person that you were so convinced was your person, the love of your life, but all of a sudden they reject you, right? All the pain that comes with feeling like you're unwanted, like you're feeling like you're rejected, feel those emotions because that's what makes you human. Those emotions are indications of your humanity. But at the same time, I want you to trust that even if this is a season of your life that is a season of pain, of suffering, the best is yet to come. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? And it's going to take your breath away, right? If you know that God is the author of your life, right? And you're on chapter 3, He's writing chapter 3 right now of your life. Do you want to spoil the story for yourself by saying, hey, God, look, I trust in your ability to write the story of my life, but honestly, I just want to skip to chapter 100. I just want to see what's going to happen in my life. Do you want to do that? Or do you want to trust in God's ability to write a beautiful story for your life and be taken by surprise by what God is going to do for you? I would hope that you're going to trust in His ability to write a great story for your life, a story where He will never forsake you. And as a result, rather than being eager to skip to the final chapter of your life, why don't you trust and surrender and experience life in all of its phases? The good, the bad, and the waiting seasons. That's how I want us to live our lives, right? Because when you are going to experience things in your life that you never thought you could, your future self is going to experience, let's say you may be watching this video and you are struggling in your love life. You haven't found your person and you may be on the verge of giving up. You're like, oh my gosh, it's been so long that I've been single, and I feel like God isn't showing up in this area of my life. I keep meeting people that reject me, that are so mean to me. What is going on? And you feel like you're on the verge of giving up, right? Your future self is going to be so amazed when they experience one of the greatest love stories ever to be told, right? And it's all because you trusted in the author of your life. You trusted that even if you were going through seasons of pain, of suffering, those seasons were temporary and they led to another event of your life where you ultimately ended up finding the love of your life. So it's the same thing. We apply this analogy in your job. If you were fired at your job and then you feel like it's hard to find another job, apply that analogy in that context. Try to apply that analogy in a lot of areas of your lives that you're navigating, right? So if you've made it to the end of this video, I'm so glad you did. Just to recap, it's important to keep closed chapters in our lives closed. May we aim to trust in the greatest of all authors to write one of the best stories ever. And may we trust that even if we go through moments of suffering and moments of uncertainty, moments of confusion, where we feel like people that we thought were going to be in our lives forever end up betraying us or leaving our lives or rejecting us, that it doesn't define who we are, because you are worthy. You are worthy of so much love. You're worthy of so much happiness and peace and prosperity and success. And just because a situation right now isn't the way you want it to be, it doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that forever. So let's keep closed chapters in your lives and let's trust in the unknown by turning to the next page of the book that is our life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.